Okay, here is the database structure that we're going to be following. We started by creating the user data type. Here we have the name that we have them input when they're signing up, and a name and an email as well. The one new thing that we see over here is this saved recipe. This is going to come in a little bit later, so we're going to add it to our collection a little bit later. But essentially this is going to store all of the recipes that this user has saved. And you can think of this as a saving function in Instagram or adding something to a Pinterest board. This is going to give us practice with connecting different things in our database, as this has to do with a different object, which I'll cover in a bit, and then also storing a list, because this is going to be multiple items. Now we can really break apart the recipe, because that's what we're displaying and creating in this app. Even though it looks pretty complicated, this is actually a much simpler version. What this involves is the name of the recipe, say cheese pizza. It needs the cook time, let's say 45 minutes. It needs the servings, let's say this is 4, some sort of description. Cheesy, yummy pizza. A date created, which let's just say 11/20/2024. Created by, this is a user object, so it's not just a name, it's actually a link to the user object. If I created this, it's a link to Aanya. Some sort of link to see the steps of the recipe. You can see that we don't have that included anywhere. This can just be an arbitrary link, www.google.com. And then number of times it's been saved, let's say 4. Now this field is a little bit redundant, as we have saved over here and over here, but by having it in both of these places, it's going to make it much easier for us to access it, at least at this beginning level. It's not the best for scalability, but that's not really our concern, as we're just starting to learn the platform. So this is what our database structure will look like. Let's actually add this to Firebase. I'm going to go up here and add a new collection. This is going to be called recipe. I'm going to click create, and then I'm going to click start from scratch. I'm going to add in the fields that I described before. The first one is name. This is going to be of type string. If you aren't familiar with coding, traditional coding, this is just a fancy word for some letters, so a word or a set of words. I'm going to click the check button to add it in. Next, we're going to add cook time. Now, we should be making this some sort of integer number, but I'm actually going to make it a string so we can allow the user to say 10 minutes or 2 hours and just give them that flexibility. It just makes it easier for us as app builders. The next one is servings. This is going to be an integer finite number, 1 serving, 2 serving, 3 servings, etc. Next, we have a description. This is going to be describing the dish. It's going to be a string as well, because it's a series of words or sentences. Next, we're going to have date created. We're going to make this a date or time, and this is just going to allow us to store how recent this recipe is. Now we want to add a created by field. This is going to allow us to store the user that created this object. But if we look over here, we actually don't have the option to be able to store a user over here. What we need to do is a document reference and then refer that to a user. What this does is this draws an invisible line between this recipe to any given user. And I'm just going to click check. After that, we need some sort of link. this can just be a string as well. I'm going to saved, which is going to be an integer, and it's just going to allow us to store how many times this recipe has been saved. The last field we want to add is an image field. This is going to store an image of the recipe, and it's going to be an image path, and just click check. Now that we have this recipe collection set up in Firestore, I'm going to go down here and just click validate and deploy the rules again. This is going to allow everyone to do everything. I'm going to click deploy. Done. So now we have this new collection. Let's go ahead and actually connect this to our pages. Here we can see that we're trying to display our recipes, but right now we're just using static data. I can type in whatever I want here. How do I make this dynamically show some of the recipes in our database? Now, if we look here, we have a list view, and this allows us to store multiple different containers within it. But one of the handy things about things like list views is that it allows us to also connect it to the database and dynamically display things. What does that mean? Right now, we have this list view that can store an arbitrary number of these little containers. I'm just going to delete these, get them out of the way. Now all we have is a list view that stores one container, this container. What we want it to do is call our database and get a list of some of the recipes. And for each recipe it retrieves, we want it to show us another one of these containers. So how do we do that? Let's click on the list view. We're going to use another tab that we haven't used before, which is this Firestore symbol. What we're going to do is click Add Query. This is going to be a query collection. We are going to collect a series of recipe items and just get a list of documents. Here you can have some sort of limit, say you only want 5 documents. And then you can add any filters. For example, you can say, I only want the servings to be less than 2. That's just an example. I'm going to remove that. You can also order it. I want to order it by decreated and do decreasing. So the most recent one is first. And now I can just click confirm. We get this handy pop-up that says that we're telling it to generate its children dynamically from the return list of recipe documents. This is fancy speak to say it's going to show us a bunch of containers for every recipe item. And I'm going to click confirm. Now we see this little grayed out thing. What this is showing us is it's going to create a new one for every recipe item it's able to retrieve. Now, if we do look in our database, I can go to Firestore, here, recipe, and just like we saw our users, I can manage content for our recipe items. We see that there is actually no document here. So there is nothing for this list view to display. What we need to do is add a document. In a little bit, we're going to add this page, which is going to allow us to create a recipe, but for now we can just add it manually into the database by clicking add document. You're probably going to have to do this a couple times to test out your different applications. Going to start by creating something and filling out all of these fields. Let's make a classic Greek salad. That's going to take us 20 minutes to cook. This is why this is a string, so I can type in 2 hours, whatever I want, 20 minutes. It's going to serve 2 people. I just wrote out a description. I'm going to make the date an arbitrary one. Copy this user ID and paste it into here. Copy some random Greek salad recipe link that I found and paste it in the link place, and then say save 0 times. I'm also going to upload an image that I found on Pexels. Now I can click Add Document. Done. If you're having trouble with this, it might be because of the storage rules in your Firebase. Remember, we had set this up, so make sure yours look exactly like mine. If they don't, make sure to change it so this works. You can take a screenshot, or I can link it in the description below. But anyway, we can now see that we have a recipe document in our database. When I try out the test mode, let me just log in. When I'm brought to this page, I see exactly one rectangle because I only have one recipe in the database that it was able to retrieve. But right now, this is just showing random data. If I change this to random words and reload, it just shows total nonsense. How do we make this dynamic so it actually shows the information of our document? Here we have our list view, and this is getting a bunch of recipe items from our database. It is then taking that recipe item and assigning one to each of these container rectangles that it creates. What that means is that anything inside that container can then access that recipe item. Let me show you. Here we have an image. If I scroll down here, we can change the path. Right now, this is something arbitrary. But if I were to click on this, I can actually make it dynamic. If you look down here, the second thing we have is the recipe document. Like I said, the list view is collecting this list of recipes and assigning one to this container. We can then retrieve that document and display something. We're going to choose to display the image. I'm going to reload. Now we see an image of a Greek salad, which is exactly what we want. We can go ahead and make everything else dynamic as well. Here we have some text. I can click on this, click on our recipe document, and make this the name. Down here, it says the time. I'm going to click on this, click on our recipe document, and make this our cook time. Now we can reload this page, and we're going to see everything reflect what it should. This says classic Greek salad, 20 minutes, like I put in the database. And then it shows the image we want. Down here, this says new recipes, so these have something to do with frequency. Over here on the list view down here, we're going to add another query. I hope you know the drill. Query collection. We're going to get a recipe. Let's just say 5 again. And this time we're going to order it by date created, descending, and click confirm. This is going to do the same thing, create our dynamic children. I'm going to make these things dynamic as well. This is going to be the name on our recipe document. And this is going to be the cook time for a recipe document. Now this one is a little more complicated. We want to say the name, and if we go to a recipe document and we click on our user, we're only able to get the ID. If I just click If I just click confirm, it gives us this random string that doesn't mean anything to us. So what can we do about it? The answer is yet again in this backend query. And let's add a query, but this time we're going to get a document from reference. We just want one single user document from the reference embedded in this recipe document. So we know it's created by the user who has this ID. Let's just retrieve that user. When I click confirm, now when we click back here, we can remove this. And on the text, in addition to the recipe document from the list view, which we actually see highlighted right over here, see that? We also have a user document field, and from here we can grab the display name. If we reload again, we see the name Aanya, which is exactly what we want. One thing over here, let's make this image dynamic. Right now these are showing the same stuff, but as we get more recipe items, we're going to see different things. The most popular one won't always be the most recent one, and that's where we're going to start seeing that variation. A couple more things, we can now make this page entirely dynamic instead of hello world. We actually want this to say hello Aanya, which is the current user. Now, if I just go here to authenticated user, which is the current user, and choose display name, all this is going to show me is Aanya up here, but we really want that hello. So what we actually need to do is remove this, click on this, and go down here to combine text. This is going to allow us to have hello, and then the second one we can make our dynamic logged in user display name. When we click confirm, instead of showing Aanya, we see hello Aanya, which is exactly what we want. So in this we learned how to retrieve data from the database, and then we also learned how to create something from inside our data manager. In the next video, we are going to learn how to add data to our database, and we are going to build this screen to be able to create a recipe.